Hello, and welcome to Stories and Spoilers, the podcast. My name is Alyssa, and I am very excited to invite a special author here. This is Aricka Alexander. They also go by Aricka Alexander. They wrote Down South Bayou. They also wrote a new book where there is smoke. It's sapphic, it's Black romance, it's giving steamy, and a beautiful chemistry. Without further ado, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
So tell them more about you. What inspired you towards writing and what inspired your newest book?
So my name is Aricka Alexander, but I go by Ari A because that's just. I am 29. I just turned 29 this year, and I'm from Southern Louisiana, born and raised. And so back in like high school when I first started really getting into reading books, I started because before then there were rarely any books I seen with like Black girls on the cover. And then when I got like to a library that actually like had books with people that look like me on the cover, I was like, oh, this is a thing. And so and so I was like, and then I read my first like book, because I think I was like 14, 15 at the time. And so the main character was like 14, 15. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is a new territory or whatever. And I was like, I liked reading about people that was my age going through things that I was going, people around me was going through. And so when I turned 15, I decided, why not write a book? Because although there were like many like I was learning about the books about the Black teens and stuff, none of them were set in Louisiana. And so I was like, let me write one about a Black girl in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And that's how I wrote my first book, Making the Best of It, when I was 15. It took me 6.5 months. And it was like such an accomplishment. But now I can write a book in like 3 weeks. But growth and everything, growth and everything. But after that, I wrote a couple more books, and it was YA. And then in 2023, after I had like re-edited the book, because it showed that I had wrote it in 15. But after I had re-edited it, I published it. And ever since then, and then I published the second book in that series, then I realized I am an adult. I want to write adult romance. And so I wrote my first sapphic romance. Also, before I wrote sapphic romance, I didn't know sapphic romance was a thing. Like even when I was writing it, I just was like, I knew that I was queer at that point. And I was like, what if I write a book, but the main characters are two women? And so that's how Sunflower, Marigold, and Aziz and Mums, the whole Love Flower series came about. And then Down South Bayou, last year, I started getting into the WNBA. And the story for that book came in a dream, actually. I was watching those games and whatnot, and I just had a dream about what if a basketball player got hurt at a fundraiser, and then one of the volunteers happened to be a physical therapist. So she was able to help her. And even though the story, changed from the original idea, that's what sparked it. And that's how Down South Bayou was born and formed and everything. And before Sweet Like Honey came out, that was like my most popular book. And still to this day, it is still one of my most popular books because people like the WNBA and everything. And I wrote the third book already. I'm just in the editing process. It's gonna be out in September. Then I have one more book in the series and I'll be done. And then last year, I don't know what was going on, but I wrote 11 books last year. I wrote and published 11 books. And this year I'm taking it slow. But yeah, most of them are adult sapphic romance. Most of them are like really spicy. Some have it's toned back. I do still write YA, but it's not my main anything. It's just something I do on the side, you know. And then I released this lovely book. Like
she's so beautiful. I want her so bad.
Almost 3 weeks ago. And actually the editor of this book is the one who gave me the idea for this book about a baker and a firefighter. And I was like, okay, yeah. That's because I realized that I like writing about like chefs and bakers and stuff like that. Like a lot of the characters in my books have that job. And she was like, now hear me out. What about If you wrote about a chef and a firefighter, I was like, okay, let me write that down. And I worked on it, and this story was born. And everybody, I did not know people like firefighters that much. Like, obviously we appreciate their efforts and everything, but like I didn't know that people like stories about firefighters that much, and it surprised me. And that's where we are now.
I do have to say that your books, I have categories for like spice, romance when I'm reading a book, and books that have a lot of plot, intimate moments, spicy moments, are sugary sweet, but also have deeper notes. I describe as like a mocha latte. You got the whipped cream, you got the chocolatey goodness. It's sweet, but it's a little bit like, I don't know, like a treat.
Mm-hmm.
And your books feel exactly like that. And they do have spice, y'all. It's half plot, half like build up and just flirtation and yearning, and you do that so well, especially in the Sapphic space. So I have to give you your flowers with that. Your writing is beautiful. And then I also wanted to bring up a quick question about where, with the book Where There Is Smoke, do you, when you write, do you think of like the visuals in your mind when you're writing it? Is it like a film in your mind, or is it more like some people I know they write and it's simply words, but for some people it's images. Is it like that for you?
It's like a whole production is going on in my mind. Like the story, it's like a movie or like I'll say like a TV series is playing out as I write, because as far as planning goes, most of my planning is done in regards to like the characters and like their personality and everything. I come up with this stuff, but when it's time for me to write, I literally sit down at the computer and then I just start typing, and then the story just flows.
Yes.
And so as it's flowing, I'm watching it play, and every time I reread it, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm standing right beside them, as they're just flirting outside the coffee shop. I feel like I'm standing right there, just but it's just yeah, it's sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, it's okay.
It's Can you repeat the question? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I got off topic.
No, it's fine. That's the mind of an author. Your mind is everywhere. Whenever you're writing, and you said that you kind of see like a production in your mind, like a film. When reading Down South Bayou, I felt like it was very visual. There is a scene in this book pretty early on where someone meets someone outside of an apartment building after a nasty breakup, his punk ass. And long story short, the main character ends up meeting her love interest by chance, bumping into her outside of an apartment building. And it felt like the beginning of one of those like 90s rom-coms or like the early 2000s. And I was actually curious, it's like a good follow-up question, if I do say so myself. Do you have any films that inspired like the vibes of your book? And I was just curious, any films, any shows where you're like, dang, like almost like a fan fiction, where you're like, man, if it could have gone in a different direction, I'm kind of visualizing these vibes or this mood.
Well, I've been told a lot of time that my books remind them of like 90s rom-coms.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the vibe I'm going for, because I wanted to not feel cheesy, but I wanted to feel like, this is something that doesn't really happen usually, but it could happen. Like, what if I'm walking down the street and then I just bump into the love of my life? That's the type of I want it to feel like coincidence, but like it can really happen. And a few people have told me that that book specifically, it like gives them Love and Basketball vibes.
Yes.
Don't like that movie.
I'm sorry.
but I don't mind, the comparison, because I get what they mean by that. And I don't have a specific movie that is like based off of, but I do watch a lot of rom-coms, and I love the like, just randomly bumping into the person, and then maybe y'all don't end up together right away, but then y'all have another coincidental running into each other again down the line and things like that. My favorite rom-com is actually Last Holiday with Queen Latifah and LL Cool J, and that's actually my favorite movie of all time. And so I want that he comes all the way to Europe just to be with me for my last days, that type of love. Or the characters are just like oh, I think I'm about to die, and so I'm about to live this most fantastical, romantical life or whatever. But I don't know. I just like writing about that love that seems like it's out of reach, but it's not. Especially like when it comes to friends to lovers. Like you looking all around for this person, and then you got all these bad relationships, and then the person you were meant to be was right there the whole time. Would I ever fall in love with one of my friends in real life? No, but I like the idea of it. You know.
Absolutely. I do understand the comparison between Down South Bayou and Love and Basketball only because of the sports element.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that this book reminded me a lot more of the vibes of a queer version of like Just Right. Just because of like the physical therapy and the flirtation, specifically like the cookie scene in Just Right, where like he's playing the piano and she's like, "These are my cookies." He's like, "I want those cookies," and they're real cookies. It's not a metaphor for something else, y'all. Y'all nasty. But me winking at the listeners, yeah, don't think about it like that. But there was so much. The best way I could describe this book to me was like yearning. There was yearning. There's flirtation, a little bit of like friends with benefits, meeting in the club, like the vibes are immaculate. And
Yeah, the
I do want
club.
to like meeting in the club,
Mm-hmm.
like flirting. It was cute. It was cute. And I can't wait to read the other books in this series. And I cannot wait to read and finish where there's smoke, because I'm reading it right now. I'm trying to take my sweet time. You have so many books, and I'm scared that if I read all of them, I'll be messed up because then I'll have to wait. I have to wait like the rest of these peasants, and I ain't like that. I'm ready. I'm ready. So I'm trying to take my time slowly reading your book, so I don't have to hit that wall. Because I've hit that wall before. And has a girl crashed out over a book? Yes, yes, I have. It's not crazy. It's passionate.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. But I also wanted to know, in reference to romance and sapphic romance,
Mm-hmm.
what do you want to see more in the book world for like queer and sapphic romance? Do you want to see more like, I don't know, like cottage core? Do you want to see more like mafia romance, sapphic? Like what is something you want to see more of in the sapphic bookish like genre?
So I am a sports girly when it comes to women. I only watch women's sports. I don't know nothing about most of sports, not even gonna hold you. But
Okay.
beautiful women playing sports is gonna do it every time. And I know like there are like other people who have wrote about the WNBA, like Meka James, that's my girl. And but I wanna see like volleyball or
Mm.
like maybe like a track star or tennis. I actually have a an idea for a story about a female football player that I'm working
Ooh.
on, and then another one for a weightlifter. So
Ooh, okay.
yeah, yeah. But the like you know the like urban romance, how they have like the books about the whole family that's in like the organized crime and stuff like that.
Well, yes.
I would love
Yeah.
to see that, but like sapphic, like I
Okay.
just specifically like black sapphic romance because there are like sapphic books, but there's not nearly enough black sapphic romance out there in general, period. And so I would love to see more of that going around, like no matter what kind of genre it is, because if it's two black women in love, then I'm set. Every time. I'm gonna read it every time because I think, and also I don't feel like specifically the whole genre as itself gets as much hype as like the regular, not regular, I don't want to say regular, but like as with the traditional romance, the MF romance and stuff. But black sapphic books don't get that much hype. But people are looking for them because every time I post about a book that I like about another author, someone's like, "Oh, I've been looking for something like this." I'm like, "Yeah," and I got a whole list for you. If you come over here, I got a list. I can point you to a list. I know a bunch of lists, but it's like, I just want them to, get more love and everything. And that's why I'm constantly sharing other authors and stuff on my page because I'm like, I love this book and I know you'll love this book. But also I have a discrepancy with the company, I'm not gonna say their name, But they have lots of categories, but they don't have a specific category for Black queer romance books. It's either you label it as a Black African American fiction, or you label it as LGBT plus, but they don't have one that combines it. And I really wish one day they would make one.
I ain't scared. Listen, book blogger, podcaster, me, I'm not scared. Okay. Barnes and Noble, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. B&B, all right? Barnes and Noble, okay?
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble, I need them to have more Black, Hispanic, and overall just more diverse queer representation in their books. I'm gonna say it. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to Barnes Noble looking for your books, looking for books by other authors of color who are also in the community. And I've been told so many times, oh, we don't have that. We don't have that at this location. You can order it online. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, and I'm in the Miami area. It's very hard to find Black owned book like businesses in person. I have one that I love that is virtual. Jay's house. You guys all are amazing. I love y'all. Black owned bookshop business, and they support queer authors. If I told them right now I wanted your books in their shop, like please make it happen, they would reach out to you and make it happen. But I think that's just like the nature of the beast, in the sense that Barnes and Noble is all about money, and that's just a business thing. But personally, I value bookshops that are also focused, and their goal is to support authors directly and towards the support of the community. And it's not just about money. Maybe that's a little bit naive, but I would like to think there are businesses they put their actions towards what they value, and it's not just about finances. Also, the gays, we will buy the books. So if it's about money, we will buy the books. Like if it's there, I'm gonna get it. Even going to book events, I find that I'm always looking for Black queer authors, and I'm disappointed when I walk in and I if I find a queer book, it's by a straight person, which is fine, but then like we die in the end, and then I'm like, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to. I'm like, I'm sorry. Are you upset? I'm like, I get it. Like we're fine, we're living our best lives, and then in your book, you're like, this is really close to my heart, and it's like I killed y'all. I'm like, why, girl? Why? Your books don't have that, and it makes me so happy because it's not like trauma. It's not like the entire story is like I fell in love. 2 chapters later, gets hit by a car. I'm like, what? What's going on? Like you treat your characters with so much love and respect, and I appreciate that. I know listeners also appreciate that, but it is a hunt. It is a hunt to find books like yours, like in the wilds, like in the bookstores. Like I'm always searching, I'm fiending. And I don't mind ordering them online, but every once in a while I'm like, I want to go to a book event. And friends, if you could put it in the comments, if you have any recommendations, send me the queer book events your girl will save and I will go. But it's so rare to find them like in my local bookstores, and it's a fight and it sucks. Accessibility means a lot. Being able to find books in bookstores means so much. It sucks walking out empty-handed. It does. And I want to support the authors. I want to get all your books. I want to take cute pictures. I want to vibe. I'm here for it. My partner and I go in. We're like, where is she? And they're like, we don't have that book. And I'm like, what do you mean? So I love being able, like when I first got your first book in the mail, your girl got emotional because I rarely see Black curvy queer women in books. I don't see myself in books very often. So, or the woman I love, I don't see her in books very often. Non-binary representation, I don't see all the time. And it means a lot to them as well as to myself to see love stories like ours on the page and hopefully one day on the screen. So I hope that your books become movies and shows, because I just wanted to like give you your flowers genuinely. I've always wanted to tell you that, like, your books, I wish I had these books when I was a teenager. I would have come out so much earlier. And yeah, I'm like, damn, I wish I had your books. But I have them now. So I'm like collecting these puppies like Pokemon so I can share them with my friends and family, and share them with listeners here as well. So yeah, I just want to tell you that because you're so awesome and you deserve to hear it. Yes. Yes. Also, please write the football one. Please, please. I am not a sports girly, but I'll read it. a girl will read it.
But
I'm like,
about the bookstores and stuff.
yeah.
Okay, so in order to get in bookstores, you have to have your stuff on Ingram Spark. I hate the website so much, but I'm slowly moving my books over to Ingram. But like the only thing that deters me, like every time, is like you have to pay to update the manuscript, like the file,
Oh.
if ever you need to update it for stuff. And also, like the formatting is different, so there's a lot of steps you got to go to like take the because that's why I mostly publish on Amazon. But
Mm.
I'm starting to move just paperbacks slowly over there, and hopefully they'll be in more bookstores. Because I seen somebody had sent me a picture. I forgot what library. I think it was like Denver or Detroit. I don't remember which one, but it had like a sticker on the book, and it had like tagged me in a post, and it said like
Oh.
property of the library. I was like, oh, my book is in the library up north somewhere, and I didn't even know that because when people buy books off Ingram, you don't know where they're going to, and so every time I see it like out in the wild at like a bookstore and everything, I was like, oh my gosh, look at her, she's so cute. But that's my goal when I started writing books, like back when I was 15, was to always have them in libraries. Like that's my main goal. And because if it wasn't for the libraries at my school or like the public library around the corner from my house, I wouldn't be into reading. And I always wanted to have my books readily available to anybody that wants to read them. That's why my books are on KU. And that's why if people can't afford the book and they literally just message me, I will send you a copy via, book funnel and stuff like that. Because I always say I give out books for free all day long, but that's not financially responsible, so I can't do that. However, if people really want to read it and they can't afford it, I have no problem sending it to them. And that's why I do a lot of giveaways, and that's why stuff like that. And I'm always like reaching out to different people and authors and accounts and everything, to ask them if they would like to receive a book. Speaking of which, would you like to receive a book box?
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
gonna send you the form to like fill out, and because I have a second round that I'm doing next
It's
month.
Christmas. Oh God, it's not Christmas, y'all. This is being recorded and it's gonna be published during summertime. It's gonna be summertime, but it's Christmas for me. I'm so excited. I feel like the queer Santa Claus. You provided me with a gift, and I'm like, ayo, naughty, but I deserve it. I'm so excited to read this. Oh my gosh, I feel like Megan Thee Stallion, Hot Girl Summer, but book version. Thank you so much. I have a goal, and I'm very excited to kind of include you in that goal. Is my dream is to have in my home, and I want to have a bookshelf full of queer books, and I want to be able to every month be able to share the books that are on that bookshelf, so people are able to find them, and if possible, do giveaways to those in the community who really, really want to read them, or even have like a tiny library full of queer books so people can find them. Like I said, I I I read your books and I think of people I knew in school who I definitely see in these pages who I'm like, man, I wish I could time travel and give them your book. And representation means so much. And I cannot wait to have your books in my home. I can't wait to share them with my friends, share them with people in my community, share them through the podcast here. So many people say, like, I don't know where to find this. And a recent guest mentioned, and I'm sure you'll probably agree, they said that Google is free and that if you Google something, you can probably find it. If you don't have a phone, there's libraries with free computers. So you'll listen, y'all. If you want to find something, you'll find it. And queer books are like a gem in a really dark time. And you're creating these like crystals so people can find them and like recharge and have so much joy. Also, Kindle Unlimited, for a lot of people, that is their first delve into queer books. They look up Sapphic romance or pan rep, and they're able to find like all these books, and that's just so beautiful. I did want to ask, what are your top 5 favorite book tropes, and what does representation mean for you in the book world?
So my number one favorite book trope is friends to lovers. I know there are people out there that don't really mess with it because it's like, oh, I'll never fall in love with my friend. Neither will I. Okay, but I love that, the whole thing of this one person that knows you the best is the person that ends up being your life partner. Or, somebody that you met 3 years ago, and y'all end up being the best of friends, and then y'all realize that there's more. It's just a beautiful, love story. I also
Yeah.
love Marriage of Convenience because it always ends in a happy ending. I love everything I've read so far. The what is it? The roommates. I love the roommates trope and
Yep. Forced proximity vibes, like
yeah, that's
yeah.
what I meant. That's what I meant. Forced proximity. What other ones do I like? Definitely not miscommunication. I close the book with the quickness with it because y'all are adults. Please get it together.
Hey, dang, yeah. You're like, you know what? Love exists, y'all.
uh, let's see. I had like a whole thing of them, and now I'm blanking.
It's all
Um,
good.
I
So
just,
yeah, it's
I think
friends
it's,
to lovers,
mm-hmm.
marriage of convenience. What is it? Roommates or like forced proximity.
Grumpy Sunshine. That one. I like that
Yep.
one.
Yep. Okay. Do you like Grumpy Sunshine to the extreme, where like one person's deep, deep in darkness, and they find like happiness and like brightness with their friends and their loved ones? Or are you one of those people where it's more like they're grumpy, like they low key a pain in the ass, but there's sweetness not that deep, like it's already there, low key.
Yeah, that one. It's because
Okay.
like, I'll give you an example. Corey from,
Yes.
Corey is the perfect example because Corey is just, when I wrote her story, it's just like everybody, when they always started like, oh, I don't like Corey. I can't stand her. It's like, whoa, okay, hold on. Because she's actually not that bad. She is annoying. But she has her reasons for why she is so standoffish, why she is so closed up, why she, is so protective. And people will find out that in her story. But as she comes off as grumpy, she doesn't like people at all. Like, and it's like, your profession, you are in front of people all the time,
Yeah.
and but she just likes playing basketball and going home. And even it's hard for her to open up to people and everything because of what she went through when she was younger and all kinds of other stuff. However, she has one friend named Denny, and Denny has been there for her since they were 11 years old, and so she feels the most comfortable around Denny. And it's just Denny, but
Yes.
um, Denny is like sunshine and optimism. And even though they also went through some things when they were younger, it's just like, oh, but I like to look at the good things, and I want to be there for Corey. And Corey is not a bad person. Corey is really, really sweet, and Corey is not a bad person. She just, like I said, she's just going through some things. She's suffering from PTSD, suffering from anxiety and depression and all kinds of things that's just going on, and she doesn't know how to channel her feelings or like talk about them. But the story is about her character development mostly. That's what her story is about, and it might make you cry because it made me cry. But yeah, all my books have happy endings. That's not a spoiler. It's just the truth. I don't write books if they don't have a happy ending because I'm I need happy endings because
I
the
get
world
that.
is not happy. So I need I need happiness in the book, which is why, like when you were saying earlier that there's not that much drama and everything and not too much stuff going on, and the reason why is because I get anxiety when I read books, and like it's like too much stuff going on, too much drama, and I don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
And so when I write books, I like to write the stuff that I like reading, and I put that in the book, which is why I can go back and read my own books many times. And I be having the time of my life over here rereading my books over and over again. And the fact that people like them, it feels like it's like an accomplishment to me because those books were like written for my enjoyment, but the fact that other people enjoy them as well is, I don't know, it makes my day.
No, your books feel like the equivalent of like a warm hug. They feel like a warm hug. And sometimes I feel like Down South Bayou felt a little bit like a blind date, because I was going in thinking like, okay, these are the vibes. I'm getting maybe some friends to lovers. I'm getting flirtation. I'm getting a little bit of friends with benefits. I'm getting a sports romance. And what I got was an exploration of intimacy. I got a lot of communication, which I liked, clear communication between grown folks, and I appreciated that. You mentioned earlier Meka James and their book Love and Sportsball, which I will have also in the notes below, just because I want to reference another amazing author who writes really cute sports romance like yours. If you like Down South Bayou and this amazing series, then you also have an amazing author like Meka James with Love and Sportsball. But
And
in
I
this,
love that book.
Love and Sportsball was so good. I
Mhm.
gave my copies in my girlfriend's house, but I have that. I love it. I love it. But I wanted to know, when you're writing Down South Bayou, what did you want readers to kind of take from the story the most? Did you want a certain trope to kind of shine above all of it? Or was it more like you just wanted them to kind of experience the story and there wasn't like a certain trope you were going for? It kind of just naturally kind of happened.
So I do not, most of the time, I be saying stuff like making a little post like, oh, this was in the book. I don't be knowing what nothing's in the book until I'm finished writing the book. And
Okay.
so I wanted to write a story about these two women that meet, but then they don't immediately get together, but then they run into each other again and they decide, oh, neither one of us want a relationship because, past relationships and everything. So we're just gonna, smash and just be friends.
Yes.
However, right, the
What's the
feelings
other one?
the feelings got entangled really, really quickly, and they both end up running away from them until they realized they couldn't really run away from their feelings, and so they were like, we have to talk this out. I don't think talking in the club bathroom was the way to go, but I'm not judging them because it was a good scene. But yeah, they and then after that, it's just like, open, like you said, communication. Like I despise miscommunication because I feel like I'm writing about adults and not now. I'm not everybody. Everybody they adults, but they're not good with communication.
Ooh.
But I I want my characters to be like, okay, we need to talk this out. We need to let it be known what we want. We can't be going around hiding our feelings that we're not. We know we won't, so let's go ahead and say it. And so once they got that out of the way, then they were really. That's why I guess a lot of my books are fast paced because they skip all that back and forth and stuff. Because
Yeah.
I feel like we ain't got time for that. Get to the part where y'all kissing in the corner somewhere. And so that's just what I just wanted to write about, a love story, because I feel like most of my books don't have a certain plot that they following. It's more character driven. And I just want to write about cute romances. And I want to write about, what happened in their daily life and, what happened after maybe they get proposed and have kids, or if they don't want to have kids, and the stuff that happened with their families and their jobs and everything. That's the stuff I want to write about, you know. And so it's just a story about them finding love with the person that they didn't expect to fall in love with.
I absolutely adore that. I also have the Kindle Unlimited version of Where There's Smoke. So for folks who've seen the visuals, this is the my Kindle version. This is not color. So the real paperback version is gorgeous. But yes, you have a woman in like a strawberry sweater who's like touching the face of a very hot firefighter. It has a little like baked good, and it's so cute. And I wanted you to talk a little bit more about what inspired the story of Where There's Smoke. I know you mentioned that there's someone you work with who inspired that story. And I also was curious, what are some tropes in this book that you want to kind of shine a light on a little bit? Because this is brand new.
Okay, so without spoiling anything, let me
Yeah.
say that there's a kind of, now it's not a big part of the story because it's literally only mentioned like once. They have a connected past, but it
Mm.
doesn't play an essential role to the story. It's just like, oh, I feel like fate brought us together, and then it's just left at that. But it's more so in the prologue, we see the main character, Phoenix. She comes back home after being gone from her hometown for a year after her grandpa passed away. And then she's talking to an old friend, and in walks the other main character. And in minutes, she's like, oh. she smells good, she looks good, oh my god, who is
Ooh.
this? And then she's just frozen in place and she can't say anything, and the girl's like, why are you staring at me? Please stop staring at me, weird. So and so that's literally the whole exchange, because they have this mutual friend who owns the coffee shop, and then again they don't really say much, and then it's like a whole year goes by before the other main character moves back to town to take over her late grandmother's bakery. And so they meet outside the same coffee shop, and then it's just like, oh, she looks familiar, and then it's just that instantly Phoenix is like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't pursue you last time because you left and you was gone, but now that you're here, I'm
Ooh.
gonna shoot my shot. And
Ooh.
then
Ooh.
Angel is just like, you know what? Hell yeah. And so instead of they're just drawn to each other, and it's more like a strangers to lovers, like they skip right over friends. It's just a strangers to lovers type thing, and it's kind of like a quirky girlfriend. Like, she's a quirky plus size baker. She has all these, she likes the sewing and the knitting and the she likes Nintendo Switch cozy games and cute plushies and things like that. And then we have Phoenix on the other side of things. She is a firefighter. She likes going to the gym. She likes hiking and fishing and being outdoors and everything. And she's kind of like the protector. She got like the protector aura around her. And then Angel is like, she's like a nurturer almost. And she's like, there's like an ongoing joke that she's like allergic to everything because she has like really bad allergies.
Oh, wow.
So she can't really do no, she can do stuff like go outside and be outside too long because she has to take allergy medicine because whatever. And then but she's willing to go fishing with Phoenix because, you know, Phoenix does things that she wants to do, and so she does things that fits. And it's just really just small town romance because everybody knows each other. We all got the same friends. There's like festivals and kickbacks and just the tiniest bit of drama that happens, but
Ooh.
not too much, not too much, not too much. It's about an ex. For some reason, all the drama in my books is about an ex or either a terrible parent. Don't know why. Don't know why. But yeah, it's just really sweet and really spicy. And actually, okay, that's a little bit more drama towards the middle to the end, but it gets resolved. It gets resolved. But I don't know. It's kind of like they're just two opposites drawn to each other, like magnets or something.
I'm here for it because I feel like I was going to ask you your follow-up question, which is very much like, what is your guilty pleasure when it comes to books? Like a trope that you're like, everybody hates it, but low-key, I love it. Like for me, I like when the ex pops up in the and like the crappy ex who's like low-key mean pops up and is like, I'm here to get you back. And the character's like, I never want to see you again. Please leave me alone. And then the love interest is in the other room, like, I thought we were exclusive. What's going on? I'm a Hallmark girl. I'm here for the evil ex showing up at the ball and being like, dance with me, and then they get jealous, and it's like, it's not what it looks like. I love that. So I was curious if you had anything like that you enjoy reading or writing when it comes to like guilty pleasures or things like that. Because you mentioned you have a little bit of drama in your books, which I always appreciate. It's a little bit, not too much, just a little bit.
Um,
But yeah, tell me a little more about that.
okay, so I like writing in the characters. Look, I like writing in the characters having kids and stuff like that. Even though I realized that not everybody wants kids, which is why I started writing,
Mm-hmm.
more. Because me personally, I don't necessarily want kids, at least not anytime soon. And if it was, it'd be like when I'm like in my late 30s. So stuff like that. But I like the idea of like the family and the kids and everything and whatnot, and the epilogue babies and everything and whatnot. Now I don't really write MF romance. However,
Mm-hmm.
I do have MF like characters, that parent or whatnot. Or like in Gorgeous J Heart, I have it's a pansexual man and a non-binary um pansexual person. She
Mm.
was a she, they pronouns, and they end up having, kids and stuff at the end. And like part of the book is them trying to get pregnant. But anyway, so I guess that's one of my guilty pleasures. But I don't like putting in, but it just happens that there's always an X showing up somewhere. Like when you least expect it, here comes somebody X, like, oh, here she go, here he go. Like all of the BR Bayou series got an X that's like unbearable. Like, there's Dante, and then there's Kelsey, and then, in book 2 there's old girl, and then book 3 there's the other old girl. But there's always an X. But also I realized that my brother told me, right, that I should write for Disney, because every one of my books, somebody parents is dead. And I don't do it intentionally. It's just that because I don't put that much drama, I need something, either your parents are bad or they're not here, And it's like there are like in the Love Fly series, like the parents are like really supportive and everything. But then there's the baby daddy, but we ain't gonna talk about him. But yeah, I just realized that even though I don't necessarily like them, they just always find their way in my stories. I don't know why.
It's okay. It really is okay. It's like the Parent Trap. Have you ever seen like the Parent Trap? Like growing up, like you saw that movie where like the new girlfriend the dad had. When you're a kid and you're watching the movie, you think the new girlfriend's horrible. But when you get older, yes, she's not a very nice person. But when you get older, you realize, like, was she a horrible person, or was she just someone whose boundaries were pushed quite a bit? And, she was kind of in a situation where she was deeply uncomfortable, and the kids are messing with you, and you don't want to, like, it's one of those things where for me, like, some exes in books, like, are toxic and horrible.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be reading about the ex's point of view and I'll be like, dang, that communication wasn't super clear. You know what I mean? Then again, sometimes a little bit of drama in a book is good. Some books that have zero drama, it like helps you rest your mind. But other books, I'm like, okay, I need a little bit of spice. I need something. All right. Yeah. I need something. So I appreciate that. Speaking of spice, your books have such great writing when it comes to spicy scenes. We love to see it. I don't want to rate, because each book is a different level of intimacy and spice, but I do appreciate how creative you get with clear communication in spicy scenes, and lots of intimacy, lots of like genuine connection before they don't just fall into bed together necessarily. So it makes the intimacy scenes feel very earned. So that was just absolutely wonderful. And my last question for you before we wrap this episode up is, when you write, is there any book that off the top of your head, you're like, if someone was going to start with all my books, the first book to start with when you're reading your books, which one would you recommend, based off of like trope or based off the vibes? Which one do you usually tend to recommend to people?
So I'm more of even when I'm reading, I'm a chronological type of person. Mm-hmm. So if people was to ask me what book to start off with, I'd be like, do you like reading YA, or do you just want to jump right into the adult romance? Because you don't have to read the YA, but all my books are in the same universe, so they all connected. So usually they like, adult romance is like, okay, we'll start with the Love Fly series. Start with Sunflower and go to Marigold. And I actually, on my page, I have a post where it's like chronological order of everything if they want to do it that way. But they don't have to. You don't have to read. As long as when they're reading the series, they read the books in a series in order, then it's fine. But I would say start, if you haven't read anything by me, start with, Sunflower and Marigold are not spicy. They have like 2 scenes, and they're like short scenes, because that's when I was still getting into it, things like that. So, but if you just want to jump right into the spice, then start with the BR Bayou series, or either Sweet Like Honey, or you can start with Where There's Smoke. Who knows? Who cares? Stuff like that. But I would, I highly recommend people learn about autumn and winter, because those are my babies. Oh my gosh. And then there's like the first 2 books of their series are like the first part of their love story, and then there's a 2-year gap, and then there's the last 2 books, those, they go hand in hand. And then there's a spin-off series to that one, which you don't have to read, but in the first book of that series, it's the daughter from the book. She's like 18 and
Oh, wow.
college, and she's like having her first romance and whatever. And then the second book in that spin-off series, I be like, y'all ain't gotta read this ever. I don't care if y'all never read this book. It's about Ben, and Ben is the daughter's dad, and he's like the antagonist of like the whole series. And but I wanted to like I was like, I don't want to write a story about him. I do not care about him. But in my brain, it was like, write the story, write the story. They gotta know write the story. So it's like, fine, fine. So it's like 32,000 words of what happened, like when he started dating Autumn, when they had Sydney and everything, all the way up until after everything that happened in all those other books. And so you get a better understanding of what he went through when he was younger that made him how he is, and like his family and his trauma and everything he went to. And then there's Amaranthin, which is technically, right, I always explain this to people, but Amaranthin is technically a standalone book. However, it is connected to the Love Flower series and my YA series, because the main couple is also the main couple in the second book of my YA series. You know, they met. The book in the YA series is when they was met, when they was first like exploring liking another, one girl for the first time. Neither one of them had ever done that, and so it's a really cute story. Like they're starting everything, and so I'm like, y'all go read their story, and then come back 13 years later or whatever, and then read them as adults in their second chance romance. Why I put them through all that, I do not know. It's just anyway. But that is my favorite book I've written, Amaranthin. That is my favorite book that I've written, and I like to,
Why is
and
that your favorite that you've written?
because I like like I said, I like the characters. The characters are my favorite characters, like the couple. And it's, I don't know, it's just heartwarming to see these characters that I wrote when they were teenagers, and now to see them as adults. And then you also see the other characters from that series as adults, so you get to see them as families and their jobs and careers and everything. So it's almost like I grew up with these characters, because again, I started writing when I was 15. So it's almost like I grew up with them, and to see them, come together and get a happy ending and everything, is just, I don't know. It touches my heart, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, if you want to start with the adult series, start with Sunflower. Or if you're a YA person, you like YA, which the series is not complete, but it's, every time I finish a book, I write it so that it can be, if you don't want to read the next one, then you don't have to. But yeah, start with Making the Best of It, or start with Sunflower.
Got you. I will definitely make a note to start with Sunflower or Making the Best of It. And you mentioned that Sunflower doesn't have a lot of spice. It only has like one scene. So I always make a note for readers and listeners who may not be huge fans of spice. I have an entire episode about books that have no spice. That's on YouTube, y'all. So if you ever want to read that. So Sunflower, and then your second recommendation. So okay, cool. And my last question for you is, what is something you want to share with listeners about your books and just about how you write, before you go, something that you'd like them to know?
Okay, so I always tell people that the way I write is more slice of lifestyle, because there's always a lot going, like, even though it's not much drama, it's just stuff that'll happen in your everyday life. And a lot of the time it's just them just living life, and going to work, taking care of the kids, and just hanging out together, reminiscing about old times. It's that type of writing that's in my books. And I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of that. Well, I won't say a lot of people, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. And so I like to tell people beforehand that I do write slice of lifestyle romance. There's not going to be that much drama. There's it's mostly just going to be focused on them being happy, the characters being happy. It's fast paced. Not every book is that spicy, but most of them are. The YA is not spicy at all, so don't go in expecting to read about that, because it ain't spicy at all. But yeah, if that's pretty much and I write about mostly Black women in love, because I just love seeing Black women in love.
That's actually really important as well, seeing Black women well rested. A lot of your books, you have Black women who are deep into their careers or exploring their careers, finding themselves, in creative spaces as well, like Black women who are baking and like who are just getting loved on. And I feel like
Mhm.
we need more of that in the world, especially in the book world. Um, I did have a random question before we stop. If you
Okay.
could have any of your books adapted into a show or a series, which book would you choose?
Um, Definitely the BR Bayou series. Because imagine we just got these stories about these WNBA players, you know,
You know?
their life and finding out everything about what's going on with them in their relationships. And they're all the messy drama stuff that happened with the exes and stuff like that. I just think that would be really, really cute. But also the Love Flower series because it's just the whole series follows just this one couple and like throughout like I think like 5 years or something like
Oh
that.
wow.
But it's when I reread it and when I imagine it, I literally imagine like a Netflix series, like a couple seasons long.
Okay.
And then, you can always add in a little bit more drama stuff. There's plenty of drama in that story. Like the whole series has got plenty of drama. Most to do with being the recurring antagonist. But yeah, it'll be those either the Love Fly series or the BR Bayou series is what I would love to see adapted the most.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your stories and your inspiration for LGBTQIA plus romances, especially being loved on by Black women and Black folks. That means a lot to listeners and to readers and to me. So I'm very, very grateful to have interviewed you. Where can everyone find you on social media? I'll make sure to link as much as I can in the show notes below.
So my Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, all of it is the same at Tay and Friends Universe. And that's literally all I use. I have nope, that's all I use because I don't really use Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever. So it's at Tay and Friends Universe, and my website is serendymoonblues.com. If you want to buy a signed copy of a book or something, then you can definitely go over there and do that. If you want to, support little me, I have to restock, but I still have a few books as you can see behind me. But yeah, that's all. That's all.
I am so, so grateful for your assistant for connecting us. I'm just grateful for her building that link and that connection so that I could interview you today. So thank you so much to her. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Everyone, please check out Where There Is Smoke. If you like firefighters, female firefighters, romance, sapphic rep, this is perfect to read. Bakeries, it's giving cozy, it's giving sexy. I highly recommend it. And I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Please like this on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, leave a nice little rating on Spotify, follow, get all the alerts. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day.